What is going on, horror fans and fanatics? This is, of course, your pal VM Video Master, and welcome again to Terrifying Thursday, where I read some of the most scariest stories that'll turn your hair as orange as a pumpkin on Halloween night. Now, to some people who are new to the channel, Terrifying Thursday is when I read some of the most scariest stories or even do the most terrifying videos of events that have actually happened. And this video idea was recommended by a fellow subscriber, Bacon the Roblox Tryhard. So Bacon, I hope you enjoy this video. And before I begin, if you have an idea for a video that you would want to see, let me know in the comments below. And of course, let's begin. So close your windows, lock your doors, and get ready for a scare. Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. That's how it all began. A letter. No return address, no name, just a warning. I see already that you have flooded 657 Boulevard with contractors so that you can destroy the house as it was supposed to be. You don't want to make 657 Boulevard unhappy. What would you do if someone was watching your home, watching your children? And what if they never stopped? This is the true story of the Watcher of Westfield. A dream home, a nightmare neighbor, and a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Westfield, New Jersey, a quiet, affluent suburb just 45 minutes from Manhattan. Tree-lined streets, historic homes, good schools, low crime, the kind of place where people leave their doors unlocked and wave to neighbors from their porches. In June of 2014, Derek and Maria Broaddus thought they'd find their forever home. 657 Boulevard was a stately Dutch colonial built in 1905. 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a grand staircase, a wraparound porch. It was the kind of house you'd see in a movie about the American dream. They paid $1.3 million for that house. A stretch, but worth it. Derek had worked his way up to a senior vice president position at an insurance company. Maria was a stay-at-home mom, originally from Westfield. They had 3 young children. This was going to be their sanctuary. They began renovations immediately. New paint, refinished floors, updated fixtures. They hadn't even moved in yet when the first letter arrived. It was a plain white envelope typed no return address, just one word on the front. The new owner. Inside was a letter that would change their lives forever. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its force within? I am the Watcher. I have been in charge of watching 657 Boulevard for the better part of 2 decades now. The letter referenced the Broaddus children by nickname. It mentioned the contractors working on the house. It asked if they found what was in the walls. Derek was shaken. He called the police. An officer came to the house, read the letter, and said, "What the hell is this?" It was just the beginning. The first letter was disturbing, but the second was terrifying when they got it. It arrived just 2 weeks later. Welcome again to your new home at 657 Boulevard. The workers have been busy, and I have been watching you unload carfuls of your personal belongings. The dumpster is a nice touch. Have they found what is in the walls yet? In time, they will. This time, the letter included the names of the Broaddus children in order of birth. It referenced the daughter painting at an easel inside the enclosed porch. The watcher wrote, "Is she the artist in the family?" Derek and Maria were horrified. The watcher wasn't just watching the house, he was watching them. Closely, intimately, and obsessively. They stopped bringing the kids to the house. They halted renovations. Derek installed security cameras and motion detectors. He stayed up late at night, watching the feeds and scanning the street. Then came the third letter. "Where have you gone?" Is 657 Boulevard missing you?
Like a hug.
The watcher seemed angry now, possessive, as if the house belonged to him and the Broadduses were trespassers. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all the secrets it holds? Will the young blood play in the basement, or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. The Broadduses were paralyzed. They hadn't even moved in yet, and they were already prisoners of their own house. They began to suspect everyone: the neighbors, the mail carrier, the contractors, even the real estate agent who sold them the house. They learned that the previous owners, the Woods family, had received a letter too. Just one, days before they moved out. It had been odd, they said, but not threatening. They'd thrown the letter away. The Broadduses weren't so lucky. They began to dig. They created a map of the neighborhood, marking sight lines up to the porch. They noted which houses had a view of the easel. They compiled a list of suspects. One neighbor, Michael Langford, lived directly behind 657 Boulevard. He was eccentric, lived with his elderly mother, never married and rarely seen. The Broadduses gave his name to the police, but there was no evidence, no fingerprints, no DNA, nothing. Meanwhile, the letters kept coming. I am pleased to know your names now, and the names of the young blood you have brought to me. You certainly say their names often. The Watchers seem to be everywhere and nowhere. I am in charge of 657 Boulevard. It is not my job to cause harm, but I will. I will. The Broadduses were unraveling. Derek was losing sleep. Maria was seeing a therapist. The children were asking why they couldn't move into their new house. They didn't have an answer. So here's the thing. To all of you watching, what would you do when your home becomes a threat? When the walls you paid for feel like a prison? When someone out there knows your every move and wants you gone? The Broadduses were about to find out. So here's the thing before I continue. If your house was a prison being watched by somebody, what would you do? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, the Broadduses were desperate. The Watcher knew too much, he saw too much, and he was getting bolder. Derek and Maria turned to the Westfield Police Department. Detective Leonard Lugo took the case. He interviewed neighbors, examined the letters, and looked into the Langford family, especially Michael Langford, the eccentric man who lived behind 657 Boulevard. Michael had a history of odd behavior. He'd been known to walk through neighbors' yards and peer into windows. His family defended him, saying he was harmless, but the Broadduses weren't convinced. They hired a private investigator. He staked out the neighborhood, ran background checks, even brought in a retired FBI agent to profile the Watcher. The profiler's analysis was chilling. The Watcher is likely a middle-aged man, intelligent, possibly a loner. He feels a strong connection to the house, perhaps even a sense of ownership. He may be motivated by resentment, jealousy, or delusion. The Broadduses went further. They hired a security firm to install cameras and motion sensors. They created elaborate maps of sightlines from surrounding homes. They even sent fake letters to neighbors to see if anyone would react. Nothing worked. They considered DNA testing. One envelope had a trace of saliva. The police tested a female neighbor. No match. They tested contractors. Still nothing. Meanwhile, the Watcher continued to write. All of the windows and doors in 657 Boulevard allow me to watch you and track you as you move through the house. I can see you bringing and taking things out. I see who visits. I see who leaves. The Broadduses were unraveling. Derek was consumed by the investigation. And like I said, Maria was seeing a therapist. Their children were confused and frightened. They couldn't sell the house. They couldn't move in. They were trapped. They began to suspect everyone: the Langfords, the Wood family, even the real estate agent. Some theorized the Watcher was a disgruntled bidder who lost the house. Others thought it was a prank gone too far. But there was no evidence, no fingerprints, no credible suspects. The Watcher was a ghost. The Broadduses were about to make a decision that would change their life forever.
Screen sparkly.
Also,
Like stars.
you guys, if you hear that voice, that is my AI gaming companion. The Watcher's letters were chilling, but what made them truly terrifying was the mystery behind them. Who was the Watcher? The Broadduses had their suspicions. Michael Langford, the neighbor behind the house, remained their prime suspect. He fit the FBI profile: middle aged, socially isolated, possibly mentally ill. He had a direct line of sight to the porch where their daughter had been painting. But police couldn't find any evidence. No fingerprints, no DNA, no surveillance footage, nothing. The Broadduses hired a forensic linguist to analyze the letters. The expert noted peculiar phrasing, old-fashioned language, odd syntax. The Watcher used double spaces after periods, a habit common among older typists, but again, no match. They even considered the possibility that the Watcher was a woman. One envelope contained DNA, which was a female. Police tested a neighbor who'd helped the Woods family move out. Still no match. The Broadduses were running out of options. In desperation, they filed a lawsuit against the Woods family, the previous owners. Claiming they had failed to disclose the Watcher's letters, the Woods admitted they received one letter but said it was non-threatening. The lawsuit was dismissed. Then came the media. The story broke in New York Magazine in 2018. The article went viral. The Watcher became a national obsession. Reddit threads exploded. Podcasts dissected every detail. Netflix optioned the rights and released a dramatized series. But the real story was far stranger than fiction. Some theorized the Broaddus family had fabricated the letters themselves, perhaps to get out of a bad real estate deal. But there was no evidence, and the psychological toll was real. Others believed it was a neighbor playing a cruel prank, or a former bidder who lost the house, or even someone with a deep, twisted attachment to 657 Boulevard. But no one was ever charged. No one ever confessed. And the thing is, the Watcher remains anonymous. And here's the thing, you guys. The letter stopped, but the fear never did. The Broadduses eventually sold the house in 2019 at a loss. They never moved in, they never found peace. 657 Boulevard still stands. Quiet, beautiful, haunted, and somewhere out there, someone may still be watching. You know, fear doesn't always come with a scream. Sometimes it arrives in an envelope, typed, anonymous, watching. For Derek and Maria Broaddus, the Watcher wasn't just a threat. He was a presence, a shadow, a sickness that seeped into their lives. They never moved into 657 Boulevard. They never felt safe again. Derek became obsessed. He spent nights combing through surveillance footage, building spreadsheets of suspects, analyzing every word of every letter. Maria withdrew. She saw a therapist. She cried and she prayed for it to end. Their children asked why they couldn't live in their new house. They didn't have an answer. The Watcher had stolen more than their home. He had stolen their peace, their trust, their sense of safety. Eventually, they sold the house at a loss, like always. The new owners never received a letter. The Watcher went silent, but the Broadduses never did. They spoke out. They shared their stories. They warned others, and in doing so, they turned their nightmare into a cautionary tale. So, like I said, 657 Boulevard still stands, quiet, beautiful, and with a warning. And somewhere out there, someone may still be watching. So tonight, when you lock your doors, when you tuck your children into bed, when you turn up the lights and settle into silence, ask yourself, what watches you when you sleep? Well, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, this video was recommended by a subscriber, Bacon the Roblox Tryhard. Bacon, that was a great story. I really enjoyed reading it. And let me know in the comments below what you guys want to see for a future Halloween video before October is over. Alright? And I will see you in the next video.